someone there?
I'll try and make this quick.
Isn't it cursed? Yo! That was embarrassing. Brought to the ground by a couple of weak little bandits. I even had a plan too. I was going to charge in and catch them off guard. Take all the thinking out of it. Only I tripped on the stairs on the way up. Story of my life. I nearly fell over the edge before one of the bandits, of all people, pulled me back. Then the two of them started using my face as a target dummy. The sad thing is, if we fought in an empty room, I could slay a dozen of these jesters, as clean and easy as the snow and frost fall. But out here, sometimes I feel like I'm fighting underwater. Nothing ever seems to go right. That is good advice, but hard to take when there is so much of it. The surroundings. Can't keep track of it all and concentrate on my opponent. I'll be fine. If there's one thing I can handle, it's a beating. My sister Bertilde always said I was tougher than a mammoth and half as smart. She was a real slaughterfish, my sister. People who are willing to tell the truth when it's cold and hard and naked on a fork. They usually are. It's been a long time since I've seen her or my brother-in-law. Maybe it's time to stop adventuring and come back home. I just need a couple of hours to get my stamina back. I know it's hard to believe given what happened, but I am a strong fighter. Hell, people say I'm one of the most promising warriors to come from the Pale in a long time. Someday, I will prove them all right. We can talk about later, but first I want to get back to Dawnstar. I'll be staying at my sister Bertilde's.
My blood's calm.
And the
I
name's
prefer
Tikrid.
it boiling.
Pleased to meet you.
Good.
Good to see you.
Oh, it's you again. Thank you for earlier. I'd appreciate if you kept some of the more embarrassing details to yourself. When I was younger, I trained in the barracks as a sword maiden. Many believed I would eventually serve Skull the Elder as his housecarl. But the position was filled by a man named Yod, a great warrior and former Imperial Legionnaire. Yod was part of a naval garrison that fought off the Thalmor as their ships attempted to establish a beachhead on the northern coast. As a result, he's revered and loved by the people, the guards, and more importantly, the Jarl himself, a true hero of Skyrim. Except I know I'm a better fighter than Jod. He may have been a great warrior in his time, but now he gets by on reputation and myth. And while I realize there is something almost cruel about slaying a man's reputation, sometimes it is the only way. I know one thing, people would have hated me for it. We all want to think our heroes are infallible. Maybe that's why Skull decided to put a stop to all the talk. He told the guard captain to get rid of me, said there was a hole in my defense. So do people, and so do dreams. I've seen too much of the world to want to be cooped up in a longhouse, listening to nobles and farmers petition the Jarl for lowered taxes. As a bounty hunter, I can still serve the Hold and the Jarl while traveling across the Pale, and honor the spirits to whom I've pledged my sword. I know, bounty hunters put their lives on the line almost every day, and only reap from the blood they sow. When I was a guard, I gotten into hundreds of battles, fights, and scuffles, but never with my life on the line. The Jarl had put up a bounty after word came of pilgrims dying at the Roman stones. As the stones form a wreath around the shrine of Talos, many suspected the Talmud. Few were brave enough to challenge them. Only when I arrived, I found no Talmud. All was silent save the crunch of my boots against a field of snow. Just in case, I knelt before the altar like a pilgrim and asked for Talos' blessing. That's when I heard it, the chattering of teeth. That they were, like two bone snakes rattling their icy scales as they swam through the air. Only I saw nothing save the noise and the bending of light as they slithered and swirled around me, without a body and without a tongue. I drew my sword when I should have raised my shield. I still recall the feeling of frostbite that touched my skin as their fangs sunk into my flesh. I shook them off and darted back behind a stone. It felt as if the wind itself was trying to take a bite out of my neck. I looked to Talos for guidance. He granted my faith with a vision, a tiny red dot dancing around the altar. It was a drop of blood, and just like that, I had my answer. With but one health potion left, I would only have one chance. I tossed my shield away. I slashed my palm and squeezed it, letting the blood collect in my hand. Then I closed my eyes and listened for the rattle to get close. I threw the blood in the direction of the noise, hoping to splatter it across their glassy spines. Then I opened my eyes, and there they were. Once the mystery was gone, they were nothing more than slaughterfish, wading through the air as I stuck them with my blade. We used to clean out the barracks and hold sparring matches. Tourneys, both half a week's wages in a pot, winner takes all. We'd knock each other around with practice swords until our bellies were as lumpy as a toad. I won more than my share, of lumps and gold. You fight recklessly when the blades are blunted. What's a blow to the arm if you can knock a man to the ground? People won those tournaments by turning them into melees, old-fashioned brawls. Real fights, I imagined they'd be different. I knew they'd be different. It was just a question of how much. Of course, Bathilde liked to say when I came out of the womb I looked like a spider, all knees and elbows. I was a gangly child. My arms and legs seemed in a hurry to grow and left the rest of my body behind. It didn't help that I was shy. The village children were merciless. Tikrid the awkward, they used to chant, like it was some nursery rhyme. Yes, but there was one child in particular, Jorn, who took things a step further. He used to climb on the rooftops and hurl stones at me. When I complained to the adults, they almost did the same. Jorn was a sweet, innocent boy, they said. Not even my sister came to my defense. Only one person ever did. Her name was Salim. She was slick, clever, mischievous, and mysterious. Her family hailed from elsewhere, and she smelled of sand and blood. When Jorn first met her, I think his jaw would have hit the floor if she hadn't thrust it up his nose. She didn't buy his sweet boy act for a second. We spent every minute together. Her father was grooming her to be a warrior, and she'd often share the lessons she'd learned. We met at night and practiced by the lighthouse fire. She taught me how to hold a weapon, how to strike with it, and how to defend. If I learned to protect myself, she said, bullies like Jorn could never get away with hurting me again. But if I wanted to get better, I needed to spar. And to spar, I first needed a weapon of my own. So one night I borrowed a blade from the smith's workbench. I was running up the lighthouse steps to show Salim when I slipped on a patch of ice. It slid out of my hand, off the ledge, and into the bed of snow below. Salim told me not to panic, even though I was already starting to. We ran down to the shoreline and combed the area. From down below, the fire from the lighthouse was dim, but bright enough to reflect any stray metal lying in that pillow of white. Yes, in fact, it only took me a few minutes to find the sword standing straight up in the snow. I called to Salim, but she didn't answer. She was staring at something. The dark surface wedged in the rock. I ran over and tugged at her shoulder, holding up the hilt to her eyes. She never turned her gaze. And that's when I looked at the rock once more and saw the door. A black one, painted with skulls and bones, and it spoke. I was mortified. I couldn't even breathe. I backed up, tripped, and fell on my bottom, clutching my blade like a dog. Celine didn't flinch. It asked her a question. Celine talked back to it, but the door didn't like her answers. Then she repeated the question to me. What was life's greatest illusion? For some reason, my thought turned to yarn. I said something, I can't recall what, but the door opened and she went in. That's exactly why Celine went in. She was stubborn that way, loved the challenge. She went into caves all the time, and she always came back. Only this time, she shut the door behind her and never returned. Celine used to love watching the guards spar. Her dream was to one day join them, to become a housecarl and serve as the Jarl's right hand. She was always thinking about others, trying to shield us all from harm. She was strong, gallant, and honorable. She was my friend, and it burns me every single day that I couldn't be the same for her. Yes, I blame myself, and I always will. Not for opening that door, but for lacking the courage to follow her inside it. So I swore to myself that I would become the person Celine always thought I could be, and achieve the goals she always wanted for herself. My body is the vessel for both our spirits, one chasing a dream, and the other vowing to never let a friend chase it alone. Dealing with Batilde on a daily basis, now I remember why I enjoyed leaving this place. She gripes over the slightest of things and turns them into biggest of arguments. It got so bad that I was thinking of moving into the Wind Peak Inn. But I'm a little light in the pocket since I stopped hunting bounties. Sad thing is, I'm dependent on my sister to survive. Batilde, owner of Ironbreaker Mine, when her and her husband Miguel split up, she got the iron and left him with the quicksilver. That scrap ain't good for much save patching up elven armor, and if that's your business here, you may find yourself with a shortage of customers. The divorce wasn't much of a surprise considering they were never really friendly with each other. Passionate, maybe, but that's not enough. It was only a matter of time before things got messy, and my sister's not someone you want to mess with. She's the kind of woman who chews rocks for fun and cleans her dishes with spit. Cross her, and you're not doing yourself any favors. At least I have an excuse. I'm obligated to love my sister. The Gelf chose to. But that makes it sound like my sister was a frost troll. She wasn't perfect. She wasn't even decent. But people who work and live the hard way, they are worthy of your respect. For a tough miner like Miguel, maybe that isn't love, but it's close enough. Goodbye.
Hey!
Yes. All right, then.
If you need me, I'm with you.
What can I do for you, friend? What's someone there? Was someone there? Pray to stick while you can. Can do.
Let me know if you want anything. Think I got
What's a milk drinker like you doing out here? Why? What are you gonna do? Cry? I don't have to take that from you.
Give up while you still can!
This ends now!
You!
I'll show you what's real.
Let's get going.